see emerge around some parts of this very long and very wide 5.4 kilometre Renault circuit. Trying to is it going to be dry enough though for someone to really roll the dice, take a big gamble? Perfect time to take a binder. See it all. Just about to say, that's the issue. There's still some fully parts of standing water. Those sections, surely you can't take the risk. I know a lot of them slipped, but there are clearly in sections of this course dry lines emerging. There is in the braking zone down in the 10. Of course, the water naturally will drain off as you drop down into the Schwantz corner. And you can see once again just how much freight Binder picks up mid-corner at Route 10. These parts of the racetrack just don't look like they're drying quickly enough to potentially bring slicks into the equation in this session. So our coverage once we know the start-finish line, the racing line down the rider's left, down the main straight is now looking pretty dry. We might get to the stage soon in this session where some riders start to go off the racing line to pull the wets. When we see riders doing that, we know we're getting close to potentially being some dry tyres. Here comes back Binder then through the final corner. We'll follow the South African 2020 Renault winner over the line before we head back down into Enea lane. Binder over the line. Current tribute on his best time of 2:05.5, so he stays in 15th place. Well, after losing 3 kilos and suffering a real nasty bout of horrendous bad, it sounds like a food poisoning for Enea Bastianini, the beast back in action here this weekend. And Nerga at the top job, he was 5th fastest in the drying conditions this morning, 6th fastest this afternoon in the full wet. I'm sure the boss Nico Goyon has been mighty impressed. Down to you, Jack. Yeah, I'm sure he is, as Enea just comes back into the bottom behind her and stuff. The guys are saying that a lot of weight lost. Yeah, that obviously is clear. He's not there. He's clearly not 100%. He has finally a bad bacteria that hit his body after it's kind of. Today we got food with almost no drink, so for sure he dehydrated and he lost. He lost 3. The best situation, so to readapt, to gain some energy, that's what he's doing, and I believe it'll be better and better through the days, but at the moment today for sure is not 100%. Imagine Corin just glutes him back in as things up on the other side of the bolts. Obviously no Maverick this weekend, we knew that was going to be the case. How is he post-surgery? I imagine he had that done at the start of this week, and what a hopes for Paul. Obviously he's got great experience here before. Is the possibility he can do something such? Been treated for one. We all know these, and no one ride on the track for the last 5 years, and quite of them don't any rate this year. So for sure, when you lose the rhythm, we know it's all difficult. But the target for him is quite clear at the moment. Is just to develop the bike. He's got some special small parts. Some development parts, so that's his target, and we use him this weekend to try to understand these parts. And on the other side, yeah, I think Maverick is getting good. Just the time is low for him. He has to stay like this at least 3 weeks without moving, so it's gonna be tough for him. Just finally, the sun really coming out now. There's not long left in the session, under 15 minutes. What we see, line floor, that out of the question. We think there still looks to be a little bit of water out there. You hear this is always tricky conditions. In this condition, the best is to have one bike ready in case the track is drying at the moment. Doesn't look it's gonna be full dry before the end of the session. But you never know, so the best is to have one bike ready. To be prepared, I'll let you guys do that. Cheers, Nika. Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Tech3 boss Nico Goya. Yeah, he makes a good point there about Thomas Spiders. His first Grand Prix start since San Marino last year when he finished inside the top 10. Well, that was a side we waited a long time to see, wasn't it? Boy Martin and Marc Marquez, they're in the same picture. Let's hope it's not too long before we get to see that shot. The two of them at the front, dicing out the sprint and the Grand Prix. Where are we at then as we move into the final quarter? What could be a real dramatic conclusion to this afternoon's practice session. Marc Marquez in complete control with a 2:03.93 size. At the moment, an awful lot can happen, will happen, and will change. Zarco Quattararo, the brilliant Martin, Enea Bastianini, Miller, Acosta, Aldeguer, and Raul Hernandez. They are in the pound seats of our all-important top 10. Second in the World Championship, Alex Marquez was 11, as you can see on the timing tell on the left-hand side of your screens. Couple places further back in Spain, third, of course, in the World Championship. Couple of other notable names. 2020 Bruno would have backed he's 14. Miguel Oliveira, well, you know, Sean Oliveira's conditions would have won the KTM, didn't he? In Mandalika, had won the KTM in Bullram in very, very wet races. But at the moment, Oliveira down in 17th spot, nearly 2 seconds behind Mark. Then Pedro Acosta ends the relative silence out of the racetrack on the top. So then we are one is I think she's going to argue with it either. Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, if there's any security causing an issue, well, I think he's other capable of sorting it out himself. And the Beast, well, back with a bang Gosling last weekend, or else, back with a bang this weekend in Brunel, I should say. Of course, the food poisoning that struck Enea that kept him out of the Saxon ring. Sounded horrendous. We all know what it's like to be laid low with food poisoning. But the Italian barely ate anything for 3-4 days. He lost 3 kilos in weight. You could see the impact that the food poisoning had on Enea when he was speaking to Jack and Pardo Firme yesterday at the end of the sprint. He looked very, very good, still quite pale. Lads, you can't keep a good rider down for long. 11th to 3rd in that sprint yesterday. It was a class ride by a class rider. Van Miller, 5th place on the grid. He'll be looking to make up for the disappointments of missing out yesterday in the sprint. Fist to the back of the field, wasn't he, yesterday? This Brunel circuit, very shortly, is going to be standing for the Czech national anthem, which myself, Lewis and Jack will pause for you right now. I enjoy it for the first time in 6 years we'll hit the Czech national anthem. One of the iconic Brunel moments was meant to be actually winning here back in 1998 with one of the great celebratory wheelies. Let's get his pre-race thoughts now on the group with Jack. Yeah, absolutely, a former Premier Class winner here at Brunel. And Max, it was a strong performance from Marco Bezzecchi yesterday. You, of course, in the acrylic colours, was the fastest man out there at the end of the race. Can he translate that now into the Grand Prix? sprint podium yesterday, wasn't it, for Tech 3 KTM rider Enea Bastianini? And he can repeat it in the Grand Prix coming up short. Let's get the thoughts of Tech 3 boss Nico Goyle, George Jack. Yeah, by far and away the best performance, the best weekend of Enea's KTM career so far. Joe, this one looks like it could be all about tyre management. So we know that the best rider on the grid is Enea. When it comes to that, is everything adding together for a strong result? That's really Enea the best on management. It's sure actually it's quite good at. Yesterday sprints, one of the key will be the management of the front tyre, not especially the rear. So we are more focused and we're the management of the front will be one key. So let's see this race. But Enea 80 is one of the riders that can do it. Thanks, Nico. Good luck. Thank you. Yeah, a first KTM podium for the beast yesterday. Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Nico Goya. Of course, he is a winner here previously, but our last Moto2 visits was the 27-year-old Italian. I think it's perhaps a bridge too far to think Enea is going to be citing sort of repeating man GT 5 years later, particularly when you got this rider around, Marquez, who has not been defeated now since the Sunday Grand Prix at Silverstone. A Grand Prix, of course, with Fabio Quartararo was dominating. He was thrashing the field, wasn't he? In central England, when, of course, the ride height device took on and there was nothing but heartache and tears for Quartararo, that has the to retire Marco Bezzecchi taking his first win on the factory of Puglia. As a result, barring any 11th hour changes on the grid, here is the tyre situation. Everybody on the grid is on the medium front, medium rear combination. Ralph Fernandez has gone back over to the medium rear, but the one outlier now is Johan Zarco on 9th place on the grid, has gone for the soft rear tyre. Fair play to Zarco, nothing to lose, of course, in terms of the championship. He has rolled the dice. But even on the podium, of course, 5 years ago, the Frenchman, podium which featured Brad Bender, who is starting from 19th on the grid. A podium which featured Frankie Mordelli, who we had the pleasure of talking to Jack just about 25 minutes ago when the pre-race build-up. What interestingly, just to put him on Johan Zarco's choice, he did this morning run the soft rear tyre in the morning. It was the same soft rear tyre that he did run in the women's session. Already had 10 laps on it, so he has put the vast majority of race distance on that tyre, so he does have some useful information. Just along that name, the Czech Adrenaline Factory. Of course, we've got the Cathedral of Speed over in Assen. Now we are set for our first MotoGP action in Brunei in 5 years. Let's hope it has been worth the wait. The BMW safety car peels away at the front of the grid. 3 minutes away from the wall now, because when a 3-minute board goes up, that means that there can be no further intervention from team members or mechanics on the motorcycles at this pitch. As we get set under blazing sunshine here in Brno. When we arrived here, many of the paddock drove straight from the Saxoreg into the Czech Republic, about a 4.5-hour, 5-hour drive. It was over 30 degrees centigrade when we came here on Monday, Brno. It's been a wonderful week to experience back in this part of Central Europe. Fabio Quartararo then on the medium front, medium rear. So too to Marquez, second on the grid. Lucky Bestri, 5 wins in a row potentially. Was Pego Bagnaia who will launch away from pole here in Brno. position is Ducati teammate Cobagnaia, just seen one and only Grand Prix success so far this season for the Italian. The Circuit of the Americas in Austin. That's the shielding. Start this warm-up lap, teeling through that long, sweeping right-hander out through the King of Turn 2. An 11th sprint winning 12 yesterday for the 93 superstar Spaniards. He's Marc Marquez. Convention Ram Troll. We start the second half of the World Championship here today in Brno. 95 points clear of his brother Alex, who had a pretty torrid time in the sprint yesterday. Big wheel spin off the line and then contact with his teammate Servant Aldeguer on lap 1 at turn 3. That meant there was low points in a sprint for the first time. It's 50 rounds from Alex. And typical his voters now is shy of 220,000 fans. We thought it was going to be big in Brno. We thought we were going to be back with a bang in Brno, and the Czech fans have not let us down. They have missed MotoGP just as much as MotoGP has missed them. Of course, our first track action in a Premier Class Grand Prix here in the Czech Republic inside is the third time we've had the drama unfold in front of